But one of them gonna save us. But all he's ever done is give us hell. We got to vote for one. Just one fire a little hotter than the other. But we gonna all get burned up. Ain't no doubt about that. We gonna catch hell from the devil or from Satan, but it's coming. Because that's what they've always done for us. And nothing's changed. And if you look around us, there is no justice in the system they created for us. If you look at the economic system, even in Memphis, the mayor of Memphis says there's no economic justice because we are 70% strong in population and tax dollars, but we get less than 1% of the economic growth, the tax dollars that come to the business in this community. So he calls himself having a 4-point plan to give us some money that we gave to the city government. And like my brother said, we got a district representative in the 9th Congressional District that represents us, but he don't really represent us at all because the money he brings in comes to Memphis, but it don't come to us. It goes to the other 30% that look like him, not to us. When you go outside of that, go to the justice system. There is no justice in the justice system for us. There's no justice in it. We ain't got to start with Trayvon and Martin. We can go back to Emmett Till. We can go back in the annals of history. It's not there. You can't pull one page up and find justice written on it for black people because it's not there. If you just look at yesterday and the day before, a man named Crutcher walking around with his hands up, and they still shoot him. Says he's going to reach into a car with the windows up. Michael Brown with his hands up, and they still shoot him. He realized he can't run from the police. He turns around with his hands up. And here's a therapist laying on the ground, trying to go and get an autistic white child, white man that's gotten away from the care home that he's in, laying on the ground with his hands up. And the police still shoot him. And when they ask him, why did you shoot me? I don't know. I know. I know. There's a fear of a black planet. And that fear is ingrained inside of them. They know and they see and they've heard. Pat Buchanan wrote a book said, The Browning of America. He said by the year 2050, white people will no longer be the majority. They will lose control of their country. And they're doing everything they can to maintain control. Ain't that what you do when the ship is about to go down? Do everything you can, throw things overboard to maintain control. And that's what they're doing today. It's not a start though. It's been going all the time. If you look at this syphilis experiment, where they had 400 soldiers that had gone and fought for this country. And then they bring them back and inject them with live syphilis. And they don't even give them treatment. They let them go and go on years and years and give it to their wives, their lovers. And it goes untreated. And then they come out and say, yeah, we're sorry. There's no justice in the education. They closing black schools. Right now, 70% of our elementary school age black children are being taught by white teachers. There's no justice in the education system. And now they're taking black history and washing it up. I read a book from the Bartlett school system, and here's what it says about slavery. It says black people came over here on ships, helped white people build houses. They didn't come in the bottom of the ship with chains. They didn't come treated like animals. So they whiten it up because they don't want white children to feel bad about what they did in past generations. We have got to look back at ourselves and come out of this conforming attitude that we got. We got to wake up. Because if we don't wake up, we won't be here. There was a time when we were the #1 minority in America. The last census they took, now we're #2. If they didn't do anything else for us when we were #1, what the hell do you think they would do for us when we were #2? And now the Asians are rising up. And pretty soon we'll be knocked out of the box. Our power is gone because we give it away. Our economic power is gone because we give it away. We give most of our dollars to people that don't look like us. And then we expect them to come save us from the problem we created for our own selves. We have got to change what we're doing. But we're afraid to struggle. Let me just stop for a minute. My name is Brother Omar Muhammad Baruti. Omar means praise. Muhammad means with the highest praise. Baruti means teacher. I still teach today. I taught school 5 years, and I was inspired to teach because I had some good teachers when I was at Luster School. Really good teachers. But when they were asking me in my senior class, what you want to be when you get into life? I said, I want to be the President of the United States. They still remember that today. I wanted to be the President. This is 1965. But as I got out of school and learned and navigated through the world, I realized that on some of these papers I'm looking at, it said, niggas need not apply. I felt I can't get a job at the grocery store. Niggas need not apply. I sure can't get one in the White House. But it won't stop me from trying. And as I navigated through the work, I was poor. I didn't know I was poor because nobody told me I was poor. Nobody informed me that you don't drink, your milk out of a tin can. We didn't have a glass, so I drank it out of a tin can. That's what we had. I would wash the tin can. Because those are our dishes. We had a pie pan. We didn't have no plates. We took a bath. This isn't being happy. We took a bath on the back porch. We would pour hot water in the tub and take a bath. Because nobody told me and us that we were poor. But in spite of all that, and my father couldn't read or write, he signed his name Ed X. In spite of all that, he made sure that I got everything I needed to make life different for me. And when I was in high school, I took ROTC. I was really good at it. But then I saw the war in Vietnam, and I was trying to figure out why are we over there killing people that don't look like us? What have they done to us? And when the captain said that, come on, we want to make you the captain over the ROTC when you get into your senior year, I looked at that Vietnam War and I said, I ain't coming. I'm not doing that. And I was top soldier. But I said I wasn't doing that. I even took a test to go to officers candidate school in the Navy. And that white man kept coming to my house in that little Volkswagen saying, Mr. Scott, we want your son to come on and come with us. We can put him into school. And put him to officer candidate school. And finally I told my dad, I'm not going. He had to tell that white man, look, don't come on my porch no more. He ain't going. And when I did teach school, I wanted to teach in the worst schools I could find. Every school I taught, it was inner city, and all of them, you had to be thrown out of 2 or 3 other schools just to get into that school. Give me those children. The ones at the bottom of the barrel, because that's where I used to be. And even today, that's why I dwell. Because I teach in the prison. I give back. When I heard the teaching of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when he said, own where you live, I went out and bought me a house. And I've been buying houses ever since. At age 23, I owned 5 houses, all of them were paid for. All right. I had my own grocery store and pest control company and a restaurant. I had so much business, I had to bring my brother and my nephew from Memphis to help me run the business. And I kept thinking, I don't have any business degree, but I got the inspiration and I got the determination to make it happen. And so today, even today, I teach in the prison because I tell the inmates that when you get out of here, you got a felony on your record and you got to check that box, there's a good chance you won't get a job. And in America, think about it, in America, if you look at all the people that have to check that box, 70 million people in America have to check that box. If you look at the country of England, Wales, and Scotland put together, there aren't even 70 million people in those 3 countries put together. You got more people in America than in those 3 countries that would have to check that box and saying they have some kind of criminal record. So I tell them in the prison, don't worry about checking the box. Make your own box. And then you can let them check your box. And so when I go into the prisons, and I was a prison minister in the Nation of Islam, but when I go into the prisons, My job is not to go do a spiritual teaching, although they will call me for that. My job is to go and do an inspirational teaching and show you the mechanics on how to set up a non-profit, how to set up a business, how to incorporate it, how to put all the nuts and bolts together to make it happen. Because I've been in business, and I learned the hard way. A grocery store that made $90 a day in 1971, and we took it from $90 a day, which was a lot of money. If you think about it, a soda was like 6 cents for a bottle of soda. A candy bar was a nickel. So $90 a day was a lot of money, but then we took it from $90 a day on day one. 7 months later, we were making $600 a day. With 14 employees. Knowing nothing about business except what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. He said, go and do something for yourself. Black people, we got to do something for ourselves. Quit waiting on him to do something for you. He's not going to do it. He's already shown you that. He's not going to do it. America's own, lock, stock, and barrel by the people that live here. And 56% of it is owned by the American government. They own the natural land. The rest of it is owned by the people. But if we want to get our own land, which is what they were trying to do under reparations, after the war was over, the Civil War was over, they were trying to give us our own land, 40 acres and a mule. Y'all remember that story? They should have gone along with it. And even as a part of the experiment, they were sending us back to Africa. And they set up a country called Liberia. Those are ex-slaves that were here, and they sent them there because they didn't want us here. They wanted us somewhere else because they felt like we couldn't live together. They wanted to punish the white people in the South for not going along with the white people in the North, so they were going to give us their land, 40 acres and a mule, and then protect us from them until we got our own military, our own economic system. Look, that's an old idea, but it's not too old to implement. Israel, when the Jews were being persecuted in Israel, they were sending them out of Israel. And they were being persecuted in France, Italy, Germany, all over the place. They were sending them out because they would go in and take over the economic system. And the Europeans, the white folks, how did you describe it? White folks and the Europeans and the Caucasians, they got tired of it. So they shipped them out. And when they shipped them out, they were homeless. And after Hitler came in and did his thing, killed 6 million Jews and 5 million others that were not Jews. They petitioned the United Nations for a land of their own in 1948. At first, the United Nations said, take part of Brazil. You already had a slave colony down there. That's where you had your slaves at, Jews. You ran that. They didn't want that. They said, take part of Africa. Because you were one of the best, you were one of the biggest people that were colonized. They were financing the slave trade. They didn't want that. They wanted Israel. They never lived there before. Never. The white Jews you see in the Israel, they never lived there. But they gave them that land as their own, and today, even today, they still give them reparations to finance it. They have nuclear weapons to protect it. And if they can give that land, which never belonged to them as reparations for something that we didn't even do. Hitler is the one that was putting them in ovens. We didn't put them in no damn ovens. But because Hitler committed the crime, the world came together and said, hey, here's some reparations for what happened to you. If they can do that for those people, then what about us? America has plenty of fertile land. I'm with the Nation of Islam. Let's take the bottom 9 states and make it our own. Because there ain't going to be no justice. It ain't coming. I don't care who you put in the White House. We got a black man in the White House now. He's a black man in a white man's house. He got handcuffs on, he got leg shackles on, and he got a muzzle around his mouth. He can even say anything about Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, and nobody else without upsetting white people. Do you remember that? So if he's going to represent us, how are you going to represent us in that capacity? And anybody that has tried to represent us, look at what they did to them. Malcolm X, assassinated. Dr. Martin Luther King, assassinated by the American government. Marcus Garvey, arrested on trumped up charges, saying he had committed mail fraud. Put him in prison, and then Hoover came in and said, if you will agree to leave the country, Why? Because you had already developed 2.3 million followers following you. Not just in America, but in Africa too. That's why you got the red, black, and green flag. But 2.3 million followers. We don't want you over here. So when he got out of prison, he had to immediately go to Africa. And he died in Africa. Anybody that stands up to this wicked government, anybody, will either be shot down or incarcerated. It doesn't make any difference. And if we can't have black leaders to lead us into liberation, we're not going to get there. You're right, brother. The elders are for counsel, but the young men are for war. If you didn't get one of these tickets, you should read it. You should buy it and read it. Say, what matters most is not to know the world, but to change it. We have got to change it. But these elders know how to change it. They got to know how to change it. And we must show our young people how to change it. And if we look at the bottom of the sticker, it says, when we revoke, it's not for a particular culture. We revoke simply because for many reasons we can no longer breathe.
All right.
Can you breathe today? Hell no, you can't breathe. Every time you turn TV on, you're out of breath because somebody else has been shot. Somebody else has been murdered. It ain't just black men. It's black women. It's black children. When are we going to do something about it? It's time for us to change because I can't breathe. That's why I go into prison. I can't breathe. I see my brothers in there. Look, when I was 19, I was doing my Sunday school lesson, trying to get ready for church. I was going to teach Sunday school the next morning. My mom said, go get some sugar so I can make y'all a cake for tomorrow. So I threw on some shoes and just went on out the door, 2 blocks from the house. And right across the street was a store, but the police pulled up, said, where you going, nigga? I looked at him, said, now you want to talk to me? What have I done? Shut up, nigga. Blew me over to the car, patted me down, and then put handcuffs on me. And set me in the back of the car and said, wait a minute, what are you doing? What have I done? I said, look, I'm a college student. I'm on the dean's list. I'm a Sunday school teacher. Where you taking me? He turned around and looked at me and said, shut up, nigga. We'll think of something on the way to the station.
Whoa.
I rode to the police station. Mind you, I live at Summer and Tillman. I rode to the police station and I called my dad. And my dad said, don't worry, son. I'm going to get you out. I became afraid. Not for myself, I became afraid for them. Because my dad, when he was living in Mississippi, on what I call the plantation, that means 30 seconds, that means 1 minute. 2 minutes, I'll finish it up. On the plantation, a white man who was sharecropping came to his house one evening saying, he said, Ed, step outside, I want to talk to your wife, my mama. He said, what you want with my wife? He said, don't worry about it, just step outside. And he said, I ain't stepping out nowhere. So the man stepped in with a shotgun. Him and my dad got to tussling, he killed the man. And they fled to Memphis, so I know my dad was wanted on a murder charge. And my thinking at the time was, if you say don't worry, I'm going to get you out. You coming to get me out for real. It so happened at 5 o'clock in the morning, they told me, come on nigga, you can go, and I had to walk home. But I never forgot that. And I never forget it to this day. We have got to change. We got to have a sit-down meeting. The elders have got to come together with the soldiers. We got to have a meeting. It was a meeting that brought the people